And then in February of 2016, my husband at the time and I went to Australia. He was invited there to for business, and I was like, if you're going to Australia, you're taking me with you. So he went out a week earlier and then flew me out a week later to spend time with him, and that trip was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was awesome because we were in Australia, but literally every single day felt like a year of our marriage and how I felt. Wanting to do something, but not getting to do it because he couldn't do it or he didn't want to do it. Having my voice and what I wanted to do and say not matter. Feeling like my intuition wasn't good enough because if he didn't feel it, then it wasn't right. Him working almost the whole time we were there. Besides a few different points, but having to wake up and wait around for 3 years, felt like 3 years, 3 hours while he worked, always feeling second to work. Anywho, so that was the trip. Tried to make the best of it as I could because we were in freaking Australia. But also leaving that trip in tears, and he knew it, I knew it. We flew back on different planes because obviously my round trip was a different one than his. But yeah, I left the airport in tears with a 15-hour flight home by myself. So then after that, I remember going to a few different people because I'm like, what's going on? I can't do this anymore. I don't feel free. All I've wanted to ever feel was free, to feel completely loved. I've been doing so much self-work on myself. Why isn't anything changing? Until it got to the point where there was one morning, and I want to say this was in April, where I got woken up really early and went out to the garage and was told to meditate. And at that time, I was basically channeling messages for myself where I would connect and then just type out what was coming to me in my head, just free automatic writing. And that morning specifically, I was told it was okay to leave. And that first moment, I was like, wait, what? Are you kidding me? Like, it's okay to leave? Because hello, I chose into something that I am never supposed to get out of. And so I kind of just let that go. The next morning I was woken up, same time, went out to the garage, same message, different words. It happened 3 mornings in a row. And I didn't say anything because I was like, yeah, no way is this gonna be anything. And then I remember at the time, I was still going to the temple. So I remember thinking, okay, the temple's where you receive answers. And so I remember going and asking, and in the place where, and I still have so much respect. So, the main room where you're meant to receive answers, I asked again, and my answer was the same. And I remember at that time reaching out to my dad to get a father's blessing. And my dad was Superman to me. He was my hero. And the one person I wanted to make proud most. Oh, side note, this is something else about my story, was I chose into sports when I know now I wish I would have stayed with dance and or gymnastics. I did dance and sports up until 5th grade, and it was at that point where I had to choose whether I did sports or not. And I remember choosing sports because my older sister did, and my dad was the coach. And I thought, okay, well, if I choose sports, they're going to support me more, and they're going to be more proud of me. So another huge part of my story in my life was always wanting to make my dad proud. So I remember asking him for a blessing, and it felt interesting because I was more aware of energy and connecting at that time. Received, the blessing and talked to him a little bit because there were some other things brought forward in our marriage that I didn't know. I knew was there, but I didn't realize how prevalent it was until my husband at the time came forward with some issues that he was having. And I realized that a few different times in my life when I was either at a seminar and he wasn't supportive, and this is something else that I struggled with, is I would come home from something I learned, be so excited to talk to him about it, and the whole time he was like, I've never learned that. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that's true. Oh, they're trying this tactic on you. They're trying that tactic on you. They're doing that tactic on you. So it was like, I would go to learn something, be super excited about it, and then the whole thing was debunked in his mind of what I was actually learning. And a lot of the times when I was gone, he wasn't the nicest person to me, not the most supportive either. And then I realized when he did come forward with some stuff that was going on that that's why that was happening. So I remember going to my dad about it, talking about it, and some of the story I don't feel like is mine to share, so I will not give specifics with those things because it's just my experience of the receiving end of that. Anywho, so I was in conversation with my dad about it, and of course, because of his, perception and his own experience, he gave me the best advice that he felt to give me. And it was, obviously try to make your marriage work. And that was the first time that I had mentioned anything about being worried about our marriage. So I kept on getting help. I hired another mentor. I ended up meeting one of my mentors now, and she was the one that helped me open up even more gifts. She's been the one that has helped me see the beauty and the joy in everything that we go through, knowing that we chose exactly into things and people have an integral part in our stories, and that we did make contracts with people, and that it's okay, and that pain doesn't have to equal love, and we can see how this life is on a bigger grand scale, and that it has more purpose, and that we're choosing in, and there's multiple different choices and timelines that you can choose into. And anyways, she expanded my view of life, of who I am, times a million. It was actually a few months earlier that I had hired one of my second mentors that I still work with today, and was one of my very dear friends. So yeah, I had all of that going, asking them questions, helping them release, helping me get clear connection. And at that time too, I remember being very, very particular every day about connecting and asking, because this wasn't some small decision to make. But I, again, kept on feeling and kept on getting the answer that it was okay to choose out of my marriage. And I spent a few months doing this because to me, it was a huge thing. To me, I was terrified to leave my marriage because of my religion, the choices that I had made, what I knew other people would think or feel about me. But ultimately, the whole experience showed me time and time again that it was the right choice to make. And obviously the first time I brought it up to him, it was not received well. Makes total sense, yet through the rest of it just showed me again how manipulated I was throughout our marriage. And again, it's, through his own pain, through his own stuff of being controlling, of being manipulative. And yeah, so there was, more specifics within all of that. But ultimately it came down to, I knew I wanted out. I did not feel free. I did not feel like I could expand who I was within that marriage. And I was told multiple times from different energy workers, healers, that I literally was in a cage and I held the key and I could choose out if I wanted to fly. If I stayed in that marriage, my soul would die because I would have to continue to be somebody who I'm not and to shut off all of what makes me me. And I wasn't willing to do that to keep a marriage together. So ultimately I chose out. We did the papers all online and it was done within 6 weeks, which is a whole nother story of it actually happening. But yeah, and I remember because of a situation that had happened, I remember calling them to make sure that everything had been filed in the right way and that I had done everything that I needed to do. And I remember him asking me on the phone, he's like, do you want to be divorced? And I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, all right, it's done. I was like, wait, what? So then I drove to the courthouse to get the legal signed, stamped, and signed, whatever that song is, some stamp delivered. And I remember getting in my car and crying because for the first time I felt free. I felt so free. So then that all was a huge part of who I am today. Well, before all of that happened, I remember at one point I did reach out to my dad before we chose to do the papers. I asked him if my kids and I could come stay at his place, my parents' place, for a week, just so my husband at the time and I could figure things out and to just get a break and not have to be around each other. And he told me no. He told me that I didn't have any support unless he was abusing me in specific ways. And so yeah, from that time forward, I decided that I would not reach out to him nor my family at all to receive support and or to tell them what was going on. And that was really hard. I have done a ton of work around that, so I don't feel emotionally charged by all of that. Yeah, but at that time, and this was the coolest thing, honestly, through my whole experience, I had never felt at that time so connected to divine inspiration, intuition. I had another experience when I was actually down at his sister's house because they had known something was going on, but also because of how he was and how they knew he was, I was told by one of his sisters that they were surprised that I even married him in the first place. So I was down there with her, and I remember one of my sisters texting me and telling me that I was dead to her and that she had just lost her best friend and that I was part of a cult. And again, and so this is the part that I do want to get into, but anywho, I, in that moment, responded. It was like with my dad and with her, it was literally the craziest experience because I had so much understanding in my heart and I had so much love for them in that moment. And honestly, the emotions right now are towards that I had done so much work and I had had the people in my life that I did to help me see what was actually happening, that my sister said what she said to me because of her own pain and some other things that she had heard and seen. And that's why. And my response to her was, please don't ever talk to me again unless you're coming from a place of love and not fear. So that was literally one of the coolest experiences was going through my divorce because I was so connected. I learned so much about myself. I was able to see where other people's pain was coming from, and when they share that with others, that is why. I found my strength. I had my close friends to go through my divorce, but at that time, this was really hard for me to work through because I was raised that family was everything and that you would be supported no matter what. And the one time in my life where I needed the most support, I was written off. Yet, again, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for that experience because, like I said, I found my voice. I found a lot of my purpose. I found my strength. I found my connection. I found that choosing into my heart is the most important thing to do. It doesn't mean that you're reckless or careless, but I have always had just this strong knowing and connection to following my heart, no matter what. And this was like one of the tests of tests to following my heart, choosing into something that I knew and I felt when everybody else close to me disagreed or thought I was crazy or making the worst choice of my life. So yeah, that happened, went through that. And then coinciding with this, I was having a faith crisis, if you choose to say. And it's interesting too, because I was totally afraid of this perception of, oh, a girl gets divorced and then she leaves her faith. Because that's what they were all saying, like, oh, she's following this and this and this person. This is exactly what she's going to do just because they're doing it. And I was like, nope, that's not me. I'm going to prove you wrong. Yet it coincided because I finally felt free for the first time in my life to make the choice that felt best to me without somebody telling me that I was wrong or that my intuition was wrong or that I wasn't feeling the right thing or that I was off. So my method of doing that personally was, and I actually started doing this before my divorce was actually final, but I would go through and I would wear my garments for a week and then take them off for a week. And then I would go and I would wear them for a week and then take them off for a week. And this is kind of how I do everything in my life and have done everything in my life, where I've kind of always been this way, where I've just been super connected to my heart and connecting to what things feel like and what things resonate to the core level of who I am. And so, yeah, I would go back and forth. And when I was wearing them, I would really pay attention to my thoughts and my beliefs about myself and doing that. And then when I wouldn't wear them, I would do the same thing, where I would feel into everything that I was feeling. And there was a lot of shame. There was a lot of guilt around my body, around wearing something that wasn't modest. And again, I really do have respect for everything that everybody believes, but for me, it was more harmful than anything. And I did the same thing with going to church. I went to church for 1 week and then didn't for another week, and then went to church, and then again, went through the thoughts and feelings of going, went through the thoughts and feelings of not going. And then I did the same thing with going to the temple. And ultimately, I decided that it wasn't for me. And that I chose out and that it was okay. And for me, what that looks like with my kids is I still support them. I want to support them 100%. They get their time with their dad and their stepmom, who are still fully involved with it. And then they get their time with me, learning the way that I learn things and feel. And I am always telling them that no matter what people tell you, you always get to make a choice and a decision for yourself. Doesn't matter if I feel that something is massively right for them, I still want them to choose into what makes them most happy. And yeah, that wasn't the easiest thing to have come to light with my parents. I actually didn't mean to tell them what I did. It kind of just slipped out. I went over there specifically asking for them to just support me and love me for who I am and for the choices that I was making, because there was a lot of tension. I ended up choosing out of going to a family reunion that first year because I did not feel like I was loved and accepted for who I was. It was really hard. It was really hard being around my family for the first little while, because I was still in that space of finding myself to the core and being confident enough that if other people had strong feelings against it or believed that I was making the wrong choice, that I could still stand in my core and knowing, no matter what people would say to me or about me. And that's ultimately at first why I chose out of spending a ton of time with my family. Again, I knew that everything that they were going through and what they were saying was because of their own fears about me or for me, and it had nothing to do with me. And it was all centered around their beliefs. And I know that now, and I have done so much healing and work through that to get to the place that I am today. But yeah, it was it was hard. It was not easy. Having as much connection to my family as I did and as much love for family as I did, I had a lot of work done on myself and healing surrounding that. And at some points realizing that I may make the choice to never want to be connected to parts of my family. That was back then. And I did for a moment there, because I realized that I got to choose into people who saw me for exactly who I am. And I do want to add this is, I know now, and I knew all along, that my parents are loving me to the best of their ability, to the best of their knowledge, to the best of their know-how. Even if I felt like they weren't loving me unconditionally, or even if they felt like my life choices weren't right, or that I was making bad decisions for ultimately what they believe is their knowing of all rightness. And again, it's just what they, that's what they have, and their belief and what they were taught, and it's completely fine. Yet it didn't take away from the pain that I felt through and because of all of it. And yeah, like some of the things that were said about me were really hard, really hard, knowing that they came from somebody that close to you, when all you were ever trying to do is follow your heart and be who you were meant to be. So yeah, that first year and a half or so was really hard with choosing out and wanting to even be a part of my family at all. Eventually the one sister and I reconnected, and I've had a lot of healing together through that experience. And I'm so grateful for her and who she is to me today. Yeah, that was another hard experience, because my sisters are like best friends to me. But now I do have the relationship with that one specific sister where we do call each other out on stuff, and we're open to listening and receiving and also supporting and being there for each other. And about a year and a half after my initial not going to church anymore, I called my dad, because my dad was one of those people who in college, when I left home, number one, I was a homebody, so I would drive the 10-hour drive at least once a month when I was in college. I called my dad, because I used to just call him randomly just to say hi and see how things were going. And then that year of after me choosing out, that didn't happen and I missed it. So I called him and basically just wanted to express that the reason I was doing what I was doing was because I was following my heart. And I wasn't doing anything specifically to want to hurt anybody. And we had a really good conversation. Still wasn't what I wanted our relationship to be. And I realized that there was more healing on my end specifically that needed to be done. And on his. So yeah, after that initial run through of everything, my life has just been more of leaning into experiences, leaning into choosing into things, because I know I am meant to help people through certain things. I know I'm meant to help people, women. I know I'm meant to help women specifically with self-empowerment, self-love, with choosing into what makes them who they are, helping them see that, because I see that in women, I see that in people, and helping them see where their beliefs about themselves are keeping them in the space of full freedom of being and expressing and living who they are exactly as how they're meant to be. Because our whole lives we are conditioned to look a certain way, feel a certain way, do a certain thing. I know you love how I'm awesome my nails are right now. Be a certain way, show up a certain way when all we want to do is belong. All we want to do is be loved for exactly who we are. And that was part of my story too, is always jumping around from friend group after getting married because I was trying to fit in. I was trying to find my place, realizing that the more and more that I am myself, people come into my space, or I specifically meet people who are accepting of exactly who I am. And it's reciprocation. So yeah, the whole last, how many years now has it been since I've been divorced? It's almost 4 years. Has been an awesome ride. It has been a lot of believing in myself, a lot of putting myself out there and choosing into things, even though they terrify me. The whole choosing out of my religion and doing the things that I do. I just recently started sharing that I did card readings, tarot readings, about 3 or 4 months ago openly. And that was really hard for me too, because it was still connected to me thinking that people that I grew up with or my family would think, oh, here she goes again. Here's something else that's taking her further and further away from the truth. And I say the truth because I believe that we all have our own perception and perspective and what we get to choose into that is true for us. So I still have moments where I doubt myself. I still have moments where I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? And still have those moments of feeling like I'm not good enough or that I'm doing enough. And yeah, so I continue to heal the relationships with my family. And just recently was I able to voice that I may never come back. I am not planning on coming back. I don't, it does not resonate with me. Again, I'm grateful for the place that it was in my life and what it does for other people. I think there are a lot of beautiful things about it, yet I will not choose back in. And that's okay. And I am at peace with that. And yeah, right now my life is better than it ever has been before. I have learned to see the beauty in everything that we go through, that everything does work for us. All these thoughts and feelings that I had when I was younger, bringing them to the plate, looking at them and saying, okay, are these true? Knowing deep down they're not, but not knowing how to believe that they're not true because of the subconscious patterning and belief and experience after experience that was showing me that it was true. And that through that has shown me my gifts and my talents and who I am and who I'm meant to be, and going to other healers and receiving their gifts and them sharing more about myself and what I'm meant to do, and taking action on moving forward with a lot of those things has given me the confidence, learning more about who I am, because thinking that, oh, I'm this way and it doesn't resonate. For instance, when I first learned a long time ago about Zodiac, like I was Sagittarius and I'm like, this is a bunch of crock. I don't fit Sagittarius because I was super shy, such a homebody. But then learning that my rising sign is Taurus, which is more of the calm and the observer and like the bullheaded and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Yet to my core, I am that adventurous sunburst of loving to learn new things and searching and growing and freedom. And then searching out, finding human design even showed me more that how I do things is not right or wrong. How I do things is how I am. For instance, getting into the entrepreneur world and business world, there are a lot of people out there that will tell you that this is how it looks, this is how it needs to go, this is how you introduce things, this is how you build a website, this is how you share things, this is how you get people into your business. And none of it completely resonated with me. And so then learning more and more about myself and how I do things and letting go of the beliefs and healing and working through the beliefs that how I was doing them was the wrong way has been the most freeing thing for me, because now I understand and see that every part of how I am and how I do things, I'm very expressive. jump from thing to thing, but that is my energy and it is okay. And learning how to work with who I am instead of fighting against it has been the biggest like aha blessing in my life. And working through that confidence, working through that knowing, connecting to when people do share stuff with me, and connecting with my own heart, saying, okay, is this true? And then letting go of beliefs constantly. I shouldn't say constantly because that makes me seem like I work on it all the time, but I don't. But yeah, just being aware and getting to the point where people say, no, this is how it's done. I just thank you for your opinion, yet that is not what I resonate with. And I will choose into what I resonate. And I will tell you, I still have times and issues when I feel like I'm wrong, because there's some people that have very aggressive ways of sharing things, and that's okay. I don't have to prove myself to anybody, which is something that was huge for me that I thought I had to. I am worthy 100%. Every single inch of me is worthy. However I show up is worthy, whether I'm pissed off or angry or overly excited, it is always worthy because I am, and I get to be who I am. I get to share who I am. I don't have any mode of how I do things because I follow my heart. And that for me is the biggest thing. That is how I have always lived my life. That is how I always will continue to live my life. Continuing to look at those things that hold me back from sharing what I have. And that's the coolest thing too, about the more and more that I have discovered and felt and heard about who I am, it has brought up remembrance of things that I have felt when I was younger, and connecting that to, oh my gosh, I knew that, I knew I wasn't crazy, I knew I felt something. And those have been the biggest breakthroughs for me of confidence, of clarity in my life, of learning my path and how I'm meant to help people. And it doesn't make me better than anybody else. It doesn't make me any less than. I get to share my gifts because other people need help, because of how other people have helped me. Not because of how, but I meant to say I've had so much help in people helping me that I know I'm meant to do that in return. And anything that you're passionate about, that you want to do, that you want to help with, you are meant to do. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It just is, because you have that passion, you have that connection, you have that love, you have that desire. But yeah, I so appreciate you for listening to this, and I just want to send love to all of you who are going through your stories. We're all continually going through our stories and our journeys, and those that are feeling like you won't be able to get out of it, or that there is no way out. There is a way out, and the way out is you. The way out is your heart, your connection. There are multiple different ways to receive healing, to receive help. You are a creator, and you have the power, and you have the ability to change your life, to choose into exactly what you want so that it can be beautiful every single day. And I'm a person that sees the beauty in like the smallest of things. Sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, I have said that this hike is beautiful like 3 different times, but that's just who I am, and I get to own that. I get to embrace it, and I love it about me. If people don't like it about me, then they don't have to be around me. That's literally that's where I've gotten in my life. And again, I still have those times where I second guess myself and doubt myself and wonder why people don't want to be around me or whatever. But it's all in perfect timing. It's all in a perfect alignment. Life is what you make of it. Like, you get to create your life. And yes, you will go through things that are heartbreaking. Yes, you will go through times where you feel like you're all alone, yet your connection is always there. Your connection to spirit, your connection to universe, your connection to God, whatever that is for you, is always there. So anyways, thank you again for watching this. And I will be doing more videos on just maybe different aspects of my journey and my story, of how, like, just tips, tools, techniques, whatever it is that comes to me in sharing. I'm grateful for this experience overall, to be here and to live life and to love life. So hope you have an amazing rest of your day.